A very warm welcome, dear students. Welcome to another exciting revision lecture for CA Inter Corporate and Other Laws. In these revision lectures, we are revising the important keywords, phrases, sentences which you have to write in your answer to get good marks. I am CA Preeti Aggarwal and I make videos specially for you. Do subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon so that you get notification for all the upcoming revision videos. Also visit my website capreetiaggarwal.com for books, lectures and test series. Students, in my previous sessions, I revised the preliminary chapter and types of companies. Let us continue, and in this session, we are going to revise a very small part, incorporation of companies and matters incidental thereto. Now, what I have done is I have divided this chapter also into two parts. In the first part, we are going to study only the provisions relating to incorporation, and in the next part, we are going to study all the provisions relating to memorandum and articles of association. In today's session, we are studying only incorporation of company. In my next session, I will discuss all the provisions relating to memorandum and articles. If you try to find this in the module, you won't find it in the similar manner because there everything is jumbled. When they explain memorandum and articles, they have included all the clauses of memorandum, the clauses relating to alteration. It's a big mess, I think, in the module. But what I have done is, in my textbook, all the requirements of incorporation, all the steps involved in incorporation are mentioned one below the other. So if a question is asked in the exam on incorporation of the company, you will mention only these steps. And a question asked on memorandum and articles can be answered separately. Now, I don't think they will club those two. They have never clubbed the questions relating to incorporation and memorandum. So that is why I have also not clubbed the provisions. Only the steps for incorporation are discussed here. Provisions relating to memorandum and articles we will discuss next time, and that is covered in the latter part of my book. So let us discuss the provisions relating to incorporation. This is my book. You can purchase it from my website capreetiaggarwal.com. I am leaving a link in the description box. This is the main textbook. We also have a question bank book, which is a detailed question bank covering all the past exam questions, study material, RTB, MTB questions arranged unit wise. So do check my question bank compiler. Link is in the description box. We always start by giving an overview, the type of questions that can be asked in the exam, the tips for preparation, a list of section numbers, and in my lectures, I also discuss how to remember these section numbers in a story format. So my regular lectures are also available on my website. So I think you should visit the website once. Yes. Okay. Let us now discuss the first concept of promoter. See, before you incorporate a company, you should know who is involved in the incorporation process, and the name of that person is a promoter. See, promoter doesn't only incorporate a company. It is not that today he thought of starting a business and tomorrow he went to incorporate a company. It's not that simple. Promoter is a person who comes up with the idea of business, but the idea stage to actually incorporating a company has many steps, many stages in that. So let's say, for example, that today I decided to start a company for manufacturing garments, but I won't just go and incorporate a company. If I want to start a business, I will then go and analyze the market. I will conduct a SWOT analysis. I will try to find out what my differentiation will be from the competitors in the market. At what price are they selling? How will I arrange for capital? Where will I, open a bank account? Who will be the directors of my company? There are so many things that we need to plan. We need to draft the memorandum and articles of association. We need help from so many professionals. So it's not an easy task. I had incorporated my company on my own, so I know that from the idea stage to the incorporation stage, there are so many stages that a businessman or an entrepreneur or a promoter goes through. So yes, as a basic understanding, we can say that promoter is someone who initiates the promotion of a company. Promotion means formation of the company. He takes the necessary steps in preparing the prospectus, drafting the memorandum and articles of association, and assisting in the registration procedure. So he is the one who actually initiates the process of registration. If you read the definition as given under section 2 clause 69, it does not explain the work of a promoter. It only identifies a promoter. So the definition is actually, I think, very narrow. It does not tell us what a promoter does, but it only identifies the promoter for us. In short, it is identifying who should be held responsible in case something goes wrong in the company. Okay, so as per section 2 clause 69, promoter means a person who has been, let us go and highlight the keywords. Anyways, the definition is to be memorized as it is, but we still need to know the keywords in this. It will help us to memorize the definition better. Someone who is named as such in the prospectus, or who is identified by the company in the annual return. Annual return is a compliance requirement. It is filed under section 92. So if you are named in the prospectus as a promoter, so in the prospectus which we use to invite the subscriptions from the public, if we have written your name as a promoter, then you are a promoter of the company. We have identified that person as a promoter in the annual return. Annual return requires us to provide the financial and non-financial information. It asks us to provide the information relating to promoters. So if your name is written in that promoter part, then you are a promoter of the company. He has, let us underline the keywords, control over the affairs of the company. How is he controlling the affairs? Either directly or indirectly. How is he controlling either directly or indirectly? Maybe as a shareholder, director, or otherwise. So if you are controlling the affairs of the company, it means you can be regarded as a promoter. So it is not compulsory that promoter is the person who actually starts the company. He has control over the affairs of the company. Why have we given him this control? See, because he owns majority shares of the company. Because of that shareholding, he has a right to control the affairs of the company. He is a director, so he is managing the company, and or otherwise. See, the promoter is generally the first director of the company, or maybe in accordance with whose advice, directions, instructions the board of directors is accustomed to act. So if you can control the board of directors, means indirectly you can control the company. Now the board, they generally seek the advice or instructions from that person, and that person may be regarded as the promoter. But what if I always ask my company secretary or my chartered accountant before taking any decision? Will that person be regarded as the promoter? No, that person is helping us only in his professional capacity. So in this case, there is a small proviso that nothing shall apply to a person who is acting merely in the professional capacity. So this will include a chartered accountant, banker, solicitor, anyone who's helping me in the professional capacity. But what if I go beyond my professional capacity? Yes, if I'm arranging for capital, if my name is also written in the prospectus, then in that case, if that person is exceeding his professional capacity, he may be regarded as the promoter. So this is all about promoter. Now, what kind of questions can be asked? Generally, they will only ask you a question as to the definition of a promoter, or it will be asked on this part, whether the person who is acting in the professional capacity is also a promoter, and your answer will be no. Next, let us discuss the provisions relating to formation of the company. The section number is very important for us, section 3. Now, as per section 3, the company should be incorporated for a lawful purpose, for a legal purpose. It can be anything which is lawful. It may be formed for a legal purpose. So this is my first keyword, that the purpose must be lawful, with minimum number of members. Like we have minimum 7 in case of a public company, 2 in case of a private company, and 1 in case of a one-person company. Now this minimum number has to be maintained throughout the lifetime of the company. Okay, so this is to be maintained throughout the lifetime of the company. But what if members, they had an argument, many of them left, some met with an accident, and the number is reduced below this minimum number? Then as per section 3A, now capital A shows that this was introduced through an amendment. So as per section 3A, if at any time the number of members is reduced, let us go and highlight the keywords. It is reduced. Now, in case of public company, it will be reduced below 7. If it is in case of private company, it will be reduced below 2. OPC cannot be mentioned over here because you have just minimum and maximum 1 member. So this provision does not apply to OPC. It only applies to private or public company. So if at any time, okay, so this is my keyword. So if at any time the number of members is reduced is the keyword, then automatically it will remind you, in case of public company, it is reduced below 7. In case of private company, it is reduced below 2. And the company continues to carry on business for more than 6 months with this reduced number. See, we give you 6 months time to reinstate that number. We agree that you have met, there may be some emergency, or suddenly so many members left, you're in a state of shock, or people died and they were traveling, and you had 7 members, they were traveling, they died, you are in a state of shock. How will you reinstate that number? We are giving you 6 months time to find the right member of your choice. But after that, if you still continue to do business, then people who are aware that the company is carrying on business with that reduced number, then those persons will be personally liable for whole of the debts of the company, and they may be severally sued therefore. So it means that people who are aware that the company is still doing business after those 6 months with that reduced number, then they will be personally liable. So can I say in this case, it is like corporate veil is lifted? Yes. A case-based question can be asked on this part. So you need to memorize the theory. You have to learn this, okay? You have to learn this because a case-based question is asked, but you will be expected to write all this in that. So the case-based questions are given to you over here. Next, let us go through the mode for registration or incorporation of the company as discussed under section 7. The first requirement is that the company must be incorporated for a lawful purpose. Lawful means it should be incorporated for a legal purpose. A validly incorporated company, let us highlight the keywords, must consist of a particular number of persons. It means that the company, in case of public company, must consist of 7 members, in case of private company 2, and in case of OPC 1 member. And it must be an association for, what is the company? Company is nothing but an association of persons with common object. When registered, it becomes a company. So it is an association for lawful purpose. Okay, so particular number of persons, and it must be an association for lawful purpose. What if by mistake the ROC registers your company and gives you a certificate of registration? See, that certificate is not a conclusive evidence that your unlawful objects are now converted into lawful objects. It is just a conclusive evidence that all the administrative requirements of the act have been complied with. That certificate of registration will not convert your unlawful object into a lawful object. The next requirement is reservation of name by the company. See, whenever you incorporate a company, whenever you form a company, the first step is thinking about the name of the company. Now, in case of a new company, they will apply for the name through Spice Plus Part A. Now, if you're filling Spice Plus Part A, which is for name application of the company, and then later on you plan to fill Part B within the time limit, of course, but you're not planning to fill everything together, then in this case, you can apply for two name options, okay, in the order of preference, two name options. But if you're filling Part A and Part B together, okay, Part B is for incorporation of the company. If you're filling both together without even waiting for the name confirmation, then in that case you can apply only for one name of the company. Only one option will be given, and if you don't get it, then you'll have to go through the procedure again. It is always better to fill Part A, wait for the name confirmation, and then you can fill Part B in that name. All the documents will also be in that name only. Now, you will fill Spice Plus Part A. That is for new companies. Okay, so if you're applying for the name and this name is for a new company, then you will fill Part A. But what about the existing companies? What if the existing company wants to change the name? Then the existing companies will change the name through the run application, that is reservation of unique name. This is a web-based application. They will apply for a name change through that application. The company will also attach a document containing the main objects of the company. Why am I highlighting it? Why should we attach a document containing the objects? Because the name of the company should reflect the objects of the company. So what is the object of your company? Generally, they don't ask for a separate document, but there is a line wherein you have to mention the objects of the company. Okay. Then the company should also comply with the name availability guidelines and trademark regulations. So a primary check can be done over there. You can just click a button and they will do a check whether that name is resembling the name of an existing company or not. But there are many guidelines and you have to keep the name of the company after following those guidelines. In the chapter memorandum and articles, when we discuss the name clause, I will also highlight for you what are the different types of names that you can apply. And there are certain restrictions. We will discuss that also later. If the name is approved, then that will be valid for 20 days in case of a new name, okay, that is name of a new company, and for 60 days in case the name is reserved for an existing company. Do we need to memorize this? Yes, it can be asked as a multiple choice question. Then after we have finalized the name, okay, after we are done with the name, then the next thing is to draft the memorandum and articles of association. Don't start the registration process unless you're ready with these documents. Like when I incorporated the company, I first applied for the name. When I got the name, immediately I was planning how to draft my memorandum and articles of association, because we have a time limit. It is valid only for 20 days. So in these 20 days, we need to also fill Part B, otherwise that name won't be available. It will no longer be available for us. So the first thing is you keep all the documents ready. Now, memorandum, it defines the scope of powers of the company. Company can perform only those tasks which are authorized by the memorandum. Anything beyond that will be ultra vires. So company क्या काम कर सकती है वो उसके memorandum में लिखा है, और वो कैसे करना है वो that is written in the articles, what are the rules, what are the regulations, what is the procedure, what are the restrictions that is mentioned in the articles. These are the two primary, they are the main documents of the company. Memorandum, it is basically derived from the Latin word memorandus, which means to be remembered. See, many a times it happens that we forget the authority given to the company, and company can perform only those tasks which are authorized by the memorandum. It's an artificial person, so we have to tell what the company can do, and we tell the company through the memorandum. So later on we may forget what are the objects of the company, what we have authorized the company to do, so it is better to write it, and that writing so that we can remember is known as the memorandum. So the Companies Act, yes, they have to file an e-memorandum in INC 33, e-articles in INC 34, and the incorporation form in INC 32, they have to be e-filed, and stamp duty also can be paid online. They are e-filing. I actually didn't go to the ROC for this procedure for incorporation. Everything was done online only. There are other documents also which are required to be filed. So apart from the memorandum and articles, there are other documents which you have to file. So you need to keep all those documents ready in the prescribed format, so that when you go for incorporation, everything is ready with you. You can just simply upload it. Now, what are the documents? Let us go on highlighting them so that we can easily remember them for the exam. The first document that you require is the memorandum and articles of association, which has to be duly signed by the subscribers to the memorandum. Subscribers are persons who sign the memorandum and they agree to purchase the number of shares mentioned against their name. People who actually incorporate the company and they sign the memorandum, they are known as subscribers. Second thing which you require is, let me highlight that for you. The second thing which you require is a duly signed declaration by a person. Okay, we require it by two persons, by a person engaged in the formation of the company. It can be an advocate, chartered accountant, cost accountant, some outsider, and also by a person, and by a person who is named in the articles, an insider. Now, why do they need to give this declaration? Now, before that, this declaration is given in INC 8. Now, why is a declaration required? See, they are confirming that all the requirements of the act have been properly complied with. Since the process is online, we need someone to confirm that the procedure, all the requirements have been complied with. So they will sign, they will give a declaration that everything has been complied with. So the requirements of the act and the rules have been complied with. That will be mentioned in the declaration. Then we also need to mention the address for correspondence till the registered office is established. Where should we send and receive those documents? It is not necessary that every company will have the registered office even before it is incorporated. We wait for incorporation and then we decide, कि एक बार incorporation कर लेते हैं, and then later on we will have a registered office. Let the company be incorporated first. But law says that later on you will have to have the registered office within 30 days of incorporation, and you will also have to inform the ROC along with the verification of the registered office in INC 22. That is given in section 12. So what is the address for correspondence till your registered office is established? Because you will have time limit of 30 days, from incorporation. So till then, where should we send and receive the documents? Nothing was sent to me. Everything was via email, but then still they need an address for correspondence. Then you need personal details and proof of identity of the subscriber. So you can give any kind of proof, like your Aadhaar card can be given, PAN card can be, passport can be given. So there are documents and you can submit those documents as a proof of identity. Personal details, then proof of identity, director identification number, particulars of interest of the first directors in other firms along with their consent to act as director. Now, consent is given in DIR 2. So this is the consent. Like, I just cannot write the name of any person. That person has to agree to become the director of my company. So that consent is also filed with ROC. So these are documents. What is a director identification number? It is unique to a person. It is like person centric and not company centric. Like, I am the director in 3 companies. I will have only just one director identification number, and I will give that number to every company where I am a director. So it is person specific. Now, this director identification number identifies the companies in which I am the director. The details will be stored in my DIN. So if you enter the director identification number of any person on the website of MCA, you will come to know the companies or the LLPs in which he's a designated partner, or the companies in which he's a director. So all those details can be obtained. So his consent will also be filed with the ROC that this person has agreed to become the director of the company. Okay. Then what other documents are to be filed? A declaration, again a declaration from each of the subscriber to the memorandum. This declaration will be filed in INC 9. Now, what is this declaration? That this is very important, students. This declaration is very important. Now, in this declaration, he will file that he is not convicted of any offense. Convicted means he is not found guilty. The word conviction, it shows that the person is found guilty. Okay, he is here. So he has to say, no, 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 I have not been found guilty of any offense in connection with the promotion, formation, management of any other company. See, we are just trying to find out whether that person has a clean record or not. The person has not been found guilty of any fraud or any willful incorrect action during the last 5 years. I have not been found guilty of any fraud or any wrongful action in the last 5 years. He has to declare that all the documents which are filed with the ROC, they contain information which is correct and true to the best of his knowledge. So this is a declaration which that person will have to give in form INC 9. So this will have to be given by each of the subscribers to the memorandum and the persons who are named as a first director. So subscribers can be the first director of the company. We may have some other directors also, but yes, in this case they have to give a declaration. Okay, and in the declaration they will write these three things. All right, there are few changes which were made in DIR 2 as well as INC 9 because of few amendments, but I think the form part is not applicable in your syllabus, although we have discussed that in the lecture. But from the exam point of view, those changes are not relevant over here. But yes, in practical life, there have been certain changes in DIR 2 and INC 9 due to a few amendments which have taken place. Okay, the company, now this is very important for us, where will the company maintain all these documents? See, the company will maintain and preserve at its registered office. Now we will write over here, where will it maintain? Okay, where will it maintain? At the registered office. What will it maintain? What will it maintain? Yes, what will it maintain? All the copies of all the documents and information. So what will it maintain? Documents and information as they were originally filed. For how long will they maintain? Again, new word, till its dissolution. So for how long? Till the dissolution. Like the certificate of incorporation, the memorandum, articles of association, everything has to be preserved till the company is wound up. So they have to be preserved till the company is wound up. See, after I submit all these documents, then after the ROC is satisfied that all the procedure has been properly complied with, then the ROC will issue a certificate of incorporation. Now, the company comes into existence from the date which is mentioned in the certificate and not from the date when we receive the certificate. This will be issued in INC 11. The certificate of incorporation is given to the company in INC 11, and the company comes into existence from the date which is mentioned in the certificate and not from the date when the certificate was emailed to us or given to us. Then the certificate will also contain, okay, the certificate will also contain a corporate identification number. This is a 21-digit alphanumeric number, and that is unique to every company. It is a combination of various aspects. I had done a YouTube video on that and also on my Instagram channel, so go and watch that video later. It is a 21-digit alphanumeric number. It is unique, and the certificate will mention the corporate identity number of the company, and it will also mention the TAN details. It will be mentioned in the certificate of incorporation. What if we find out that at the time of incorporation, okay, at the time of incorporation, we find that the company had furnished wrong, false, incorrect information? Then if any person, see here we cannot blame the directors or the promoters because the company is not incorporated. Then any person who furnishes, that is gives false or incorrect particulars of any information. So these are the keywords. If you are giving wrong information, if you are suppressing, now this is something which you have already studied in CA Foundation. You are suppressing, you are hiding the facts, or you are giving less facts. You are giving only the facts which are favorable to you, and you are aware of that, then in that case the person will be liable for action of fraud. That is 447 will apply over here. Now what is mentioned in 447 is the common section which is applicable if you want to punish someone for fraud. Now, if the fraud is less than 10 lakh or 1% of the turnover, whichever is less. Now, let's say, for example, 1% of the turnover comes to rupees 8 lakhs. Okay. So, 10 lakh, compare it with 8 lakh, whichever is less. So, 8 lakh rupees. If the fraud amount, okay, if the fraud amount, this is an example. If the fraud amount is less than 8 lakh rupees, then the person will be liable for fine up to rupees 50 lakhs or up to 5 years of imprisonment, or maybe both. But if the fraud is either equal to, okay, fraud is either equal to or greater than 8 lakhs, this is in my example, then the fine will be minimum amount involved in fraud, which may extend to 3 times the amount involved, and earlier it was or, now it is and minimum 6 months imprisonment, which may extend to 10 years. If it involves public interest, then the fine amount will remain the same. Imprisonment from 6 months, it will change to 3 years. Okay, so that is the only change. You need to memorize the provisions of section 447. It is there in your syllabus. What if I find about this later, that is post incorporation? Now in this case, who will be liable? We need to highlight this: the promoters, first directors, persons making the declaration and who are aware that we have given wrong information, we are giving wrong declaration, then that person will be liable for action under section 447. So if the company has been incorporated, now this we find after incorporation, that the company has been incorporated by furnishing false, incorrect information or representation, suppressing the material fact, or any other fraudulent action, then in this case the promoters, first directors and the persons making declaration will be liable for action under section 447. There is also one very important part. This is order of the tribunal. Now see, we find out that you have been incorporated, okay, you have been incorporated by furnishing false or incorrect information. Then in that case, tribunal will pass an order. What are the keywords over here? They will pass an order regulating the management of the company, change the management. It is because of them that this thing has happened. They may increase the liability of members to unlimited. They may direct the removal of name from the company, that is striking off, okay, from the register, or they may pass an order for winding up of the company. Now, what is the difference between striking off and winding up? See, striking off is a milder procedure as compared to winding up. Winding up is very lengthy, it is time consuming, it is costly, it is suitable for companies which are in existence in some time, they have a lot of liabilities, etc. It takes time to close that company. Striking off is an easier version. It is a less expensive version. It is time saving actually, but it is suitable for companies which have either not done any business, or their liability is very less, or they have paid off all their liabilities. So striking off is a mini version of winding up. It's an easier version. But before doing that, we will give them an opportunity of being heard, and we will also consider the transactions which you have already entered before we pass any of these orders. We don't want the third party to suffer because of the action taken by the tribunal. This is not new. It was something which was already covered in foundation. Commencement of business, this can be asked as a short note, and this is the last part of our discussion. Now, the subscribers to the memorandum had only agreed to bring the amount. Let's in the memorandum, let's see, for example, I had mentioned that X will bring 1 lakh rupees and Y will also bring 1 lakh. They had signed the memorandum of a private company. Now, they have only agreed to bring this amount. We want them to actually bring that amount. So we tell them, when are you going to contribute? Because how can you run a company without money? So we have given them a time limit of 180 days from the date of incorporation of the company. This is important for us. We need to memorize this. 180 days from the date of incorporation, you have to give a declaration in form INC 20A. You have to give a declaration that yes, whatever amount I had mentioned, I have actually brought it. Give a bank statement that I have actually brought in that amount with the company. And you also have to give a verification with the registered office, a verification with the registrar of the registered office. You will give a verification in form INC 22. You have to give this within 30 days of incorporation. Now you have to tell him that yes, I have actually taken this place on rent. This is my rent paid receipt. I have purchased it. This is my ownership document. My electricity bill, phone bill, light bill. You have to verify that this is actually your registered office of the company. If you fail to do so, you will be subject to penalty. If the registrar, let us highlight that, if the registrar has reasonable cause to believe that the company is not carrying on business. See, now if you have failed, yes, we will subject you to a penalty. But if the registrar feels that how can the company not bring in money, how can they function without money, it means that they are not doing any business operations, it may be like a shell company, then in that case they have the very right to initiate action for removal of the name of the company from the register of companies. Okay, so in this case, if the declaration is not given, it means that we can assume that the company is not carrying on business. They have not submitted any proof of bringing that money. They are doing business without money. So they will also remove the name of the company from the register of companies. So students, this is very important for short note. And with this, we come to an end of today's session. It was a very short one because we discussed only the provisions relating to incorporation. In my next video, I will cover the provisions relating to the memorandum and articles of association. It's going to be very interesting and very important because of a lot of questions are asked from this part. So I'll see you there. But before leaving, do subscribe and give me a thumbs up, appreciating the effort that we are taking to revise the entire syllabus. You can purchase this book and lectures from my website, capreetiaggarwal.com.